Hello everybody. This is the first video that I've made in like 2 weeks or something. I pre-filmed a lot of videos and I'm so glad that I did because I got deathly ill after that. I was sick for several days. I took a COVID test. It wasn't COVID, but it kicked my butt, that's for sure. So anyway, I'm back. Hello. And today I'm going to talk about the books that I read in 2025. Welcome to 2026. How wonderful. So, I had a goal of 12 books to read this year, and I did not make that. I did 8, which is still pretty good because in the several years past, it's been 0. So 0 to 8 is pretty good. So I'll tell you what books I read this year, what I thought about them. So the first book that I read this year, I actually finished July 1st. So half the year I didn't read anything. So for me to read 8 books in half of a year is pretty good, you know. So the first book that I read was Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez. I originally picked it up because it... Say You'll Remember Me reminded me of Taylor Swift, but it was a beautiful cover. When I read the inside, it was about a vet. It sounded like a little love story, very cute. So I picked this up at work. I work at a library, so all of these actually, except for the next one. So 7 of these I got from my library. If you don't take advantage of your local library, you definitely should. Give them some patronage, please. They need it, please. Wow, this is a long synopsis. Okay. There might be no such thing as a perfect guy, but Xavier Rush comes disastrously close. A gorgeous veterinarian giving Greek god vibes, all while cuddling a tiny kitten? Immediately yes. That is, until Xavier opens his mouth and proves that even sculpted gods can say the absolute wrong thing. Like, really wrong. Of course, there's nothing Samantha loves more than proving an asshole wrong. Unless, of course, he can admit he made a mistake. But after one incredible and seemingly endless date, possibly the best in living history, Samantha is forced to admit the truth, that her family is in crisis and any kind of relationship would be impossible. Samantha begs Xavier to forget her, to remember their night together as a perfect moment, as crushing as that may be. Only no amount of distance or time is nearly enough to forget that something between them. And the only thing better than one single perfect memory is to make a life, and even a love, worth remembering. So one thing that I actually forgot about this book is that it's like the main point of the book. I have a really bad memory. So Samantha's mother has dementia, and so she moves in with her mother to take care of her along with her other siblings. So she doesn't want to get in this relationship with Xavier because she is a little preoccupied with taking care of her mother and everything. It was kind of enemies to lovers, but not really because that ends very quickly, the enemy thing. And it was more like a pining romance kind of thing in the midst of the story. The real point of the story is like, just remember it as like a perfect date and like, don't contact me, move on with your life. You have your life here, I have my life here. Let's just move on because she's just too busy, too preoccupied with taking care of her mom. So that's the main part of the story. This book really got me back into reading, which is fantastic. I thought it was so good. It wasn't very realistic, but that's okay. I was still loving every minute of it. Not overly sexual or anything like that. I'm not a smut reader, you know, so it's like, especially because these are adults in this book. Usually I read like YA fiction, so for this to be like adult contemporary fiction, there wasn't like sex scenes or anything. It was just a really good book. I have been recommended the rest of Abby's, what do they call that? Not discography, but you know, basically read them all. So that's good to know that she just is a good writer, you know, and her books are good. So that one definitely made me care about reading again, which is fantastic for me. Reading used to be everything to me. I would read a book a day. Like, I was obsessed with reading when I was a kid. It's all I ever wanted to do. It made me want to be a writer. I wanted to write books. I wanted to read books. Like, I was just, like, enamored with it. And over the past several years, I just stopped reading altogether. And this year, 2025, I really got back into reading. And I hope that I continue that trajectory and just keep going forward, because it's very important. So, especially for my profession. The next book that I read that in July, was Dungeons and Drama by Christy Boyce. This one, this was the only book that I actually bought and paid for. It is a beautiful book. The cover is gorgeous, and I really liked it because the main characters really reminded me of me and my boyfriend, because it's all about, like, Dungeons and Dragons and Warhammer, and the guy's a total nerd, and she loves musical theater. And what I loved the most about it was she spoke a lot about my favorite musical, which is Waitress. So I thought that was really cool, because a lot of stuff doesn't mention Waitress. I mean, she mentioned a lot of different musicals, and I loved the characters in this book. When it comes to romance, sometimes it doesn't hurt to play games. A fun YA rom-com full of fake dating hijinks. Musical lover Riley has big aspirations to become a director on Broadway. Crucial to this plan is bringing back her high school spring musical, but when Riley takes her mom's car without permission, she's grounded and stuck with the worst punishment: spending her after-school hours working at her dad's game shop. Riley can't waste her time working when she has a musical to save, so she convinces Nathan, a nerdy teen employee, to cover her shifts, and in exchange, she'll flirt with him to make his gamer girl crush jealous. But Riley doesn't realize that meant joining Nathan's Dungeons and Dragons game, or that role-playing would be so much fun. Soon, Riley starts to think that flirting with Nathan doesn't require as much acting as she would have thought. I really liked this book. This book was really, really cute. Riley's parents are divorced, so she kind of goes between houses, and her parents don't seem to have that great of a relationship with each other, and it seems like Riley was closer, like much closer to her mom than her dad. So her dad's game shop is a big focus on this story, and Riley gets closer to him through it, and they kind of start to, like, understand each other a little bit better, and it was a very cute story. And I love cutesy little rom-coms. YA, cute, adorable, tied up in a nice little bow. Fantastic. I was really impressed with this book. Apparently there's another one that she wrote, so I would love to read that one as well. The things that I love about these books too is that none of these were 700 pages. I can't commit to something like that. Never have been able to. I really like smaller, shorter, standalone books. Honestly, I really don't love series. So if you have any that you want to recommend to me, I would definitely love to hear it. Yeah, specifically YA or adult with no sex scenes. Just cute, like, romance books, cutesy books. Standalones would be fantastic. After that comes August, and from August on, I just read about dogs, and other animals, just rescue animals in general. So I got really into nonfiction, specifically rescue animal nonfiction. So the next book that I read was Rescue Dogs: Where They Come From, Why They Act the Way They Do, and How to Love Them Well. And this is by Pete Paxton. And this book was awesome. Let me read the description. A fascinating look at rescue dogs, where they come from, why every dog lover should consider adopting one, and how to make them part of your family. America's leading undercover animal investigator, Pete Paxton, has, among other exploits, infiltrated more than 700 puppy mills, working undercover to close one of the largest and most infamous puppy mills in the United States, and shuttered the most notorious trafficker of dogs for experimentation in history. I can't read this very well, I'm sorry. In this book, he shares stories of the amazing dogs he has rescued and brought to loving families, and also offers invaluable guidance and wisdom for anyone living with rescue dogs. Far too many people think rescue dogs have irredeemable anxieties, behavior issues, or other problems. In truth, rescue dogs can, and do, become wonderful companions. This groundbreaking book will help readers understand these dogs' unique ways of thinking, learning, and loving, and leaves no questions unanswered about the plight of dogs commercially bred in the United States, and what every dog lover can do about it. I loved this book. For the past year and a half, more so in the beginning of that year and a half, I was really hands-on with my local animal shelter. I would go nearly every day to take care of the dogs, and some of the cats too. I would hang out with the cats a little bit too, but mostly dogs because they needed way more than the cats did. So I was walking dogs, I was taking pictures and videos of them, sharing them on my social media, made a lot of cute little TikTok videos about rescue dogs. I got really into animal welfare, and I even adopted my own dog, who is sitting right here next to me because she has separation anxiety. But I adopted my dog from that rescue one day, and well, it was an animal shelter, but I adopted Nellen from there. But I got really into animal welfare, really into what can I do to help animals. And this book was fantastic. I loved that it was from an undercover worker, undercover cop kind of guy. He wasn't working with the cops. He kind of worked with them a little bit, but also he was kind of breaking some laws. But he was fantastic. He was a great storyteller. I really liked the way he wrote, because it didn't seem like he was preaching or anything. It was just him telling his story, and it was very, very good. I've only heard about puppy mills and how awful they are, so to hear from someone who went undercover to work at them to get them shut down was incredible. It was such a good book. Definitely, if you want to get a dog, please rescue a dog. There are so many animals that need homes that are already born, that why would you create your own? These dogs are not damaged goods. They may have some issues that you need to work through. Sure, they are not perfect, but no dog will be without a little bit of work, and they can become absolutely amazing people. They can really become an essential part of your family if you give them a chance, and this book was very beautiful. I really enjoyed it. Rescue an animal, and then rescue some more. And you know what's great is that if you don't think you really have the want to have your own dog or something, you can foster. You can foster dogs that have been in the shelter for way too many months and need to get out. You can foster the mama dogs that, they're pregnant and they're about to have a litter, cats or dogs, or, the sick ones if you really feel like you can handle that. I really want to do hospice fostering later, not right now, but, see if you have the means to help an animal. And if you don't have the time, or you don't want to be that hands-on, donate. Donate money, donate supplies, do what you can, because these creatures, they did nothing wrong, and they really deserve to have a loving home, every single one of them. So anyway, off my little soapbox, but I'm a big animal lover. The next book that I read was Misunderstood: Why the Humble Rat May Be Your Best Pet Ever by Rachel Torr. This one was not my favorite book that I read. Most of the time she was just talking about people asking her why she was writing this book. And that was like most of the book, was people asking her why she's writing it, or her talking about writing it. So let me read the book description. As much a moving memoir as it is an amusing pet Manual. Misunderstood is a unique nonfiction book for teens and tweens about domesticated rats in general, and a wonderful rat named Iris in particular. Brimming with smarts and energy just like its furry subjects, Rachel Torr's text blends history and science with profiles of interesting people and autobiographical anecdotes as it joyfully sets the record straight about why this reviled creature is actually a most amazing species. Readers will come away with a deeper understanding and appreciation of domestic rats and may be convinced to adopt one themselves. I love rats. I have always wanted a bonded pair of rats. I was very close to adopting some, but I already had way too many animals at that point. That was 10 years ago when I got Bunny, and I had Bunny and Pig and the hamsters and the mice, and I was hoarding animals at that point, honestly, so I did not need more, and I'm glad that I hit that wall of, like, stop, but I love rats. I think they are such amazing creatures. They have so much love to give. They are so smart and gorgeous. I think, like, Dumbo rats are the cutest things in the entire world. I just love rats so much, so I thought it was good that someone wrote a book like this about rats because they are really incredible animals. They really do empathize with you. They have feelings. They have emotions. They have personalities, a lot of big personalities. A lot of times they're really silly. So I definitely recommend reading more about rats. Not necessarily this book because it was just her talking a lot, but read books about rats. Learn more about rodents. They're fantastic. I think it would be kind of cool to write a story about, like, hamsters and stuff, because I really loved my hamsters. I was like, those things were my best friends. So it could be cool to write a story like this on my own. But anyway, yeah, that one was fine. I read it in one day, which is really good for me because a lot of these books took me like a month to read. So this one I read in a day. It was very short. Just not my favorite, but still, give it a shot, especially if you find it at your library. No harm, no foul, The next book was another one that I really, really liked. And this was called Mutual Rescue: How Adopting a Homeless Animal Can Save You Too, by Carol Novello. A moving and scientific look at the curative powers, both physical and mental, of rescuing a shelter animal by the president of the Humane Society Silicon Valley. Mutual Rescue profiles the transformational impact that shelter pets have on humans, exploring the emotional, physical, and spiritual gifts that rescue animals provide. It explores through anecdote, observation, and scientific research the complexity and depth of the role that pets play in our lives. Every story in the book brings an unrecognized benefit of adopting homeless animals to the forefront of the rescue conversation. In a nation plagued by illnesses, 16 million adults suffer from depression, 29 million have diabetes, 8 million in any given year have PTSD, and nearly 40% are obese. Rescue pets can help. 60% of doctors say they prescribe pet adoption, and a staggering 97% believe that pet ownership provides health benefits. For people in chronic emotional, physical, or spiritual pain, adopting an animal can transform and even save their lives. Each story in the book takes a deep dive into one potent aspect of animal adoption, told through the lens of people's personal experiences with their rescued pets and the science that backs up the results. This book will resonate with readers hungering for stories of healing and redemption. I really liked this book because it was stories from all kinds of people, and it wasn't just one person preaching at you. If you feel like maybe the rescue dogs, where they come from, where, that one seemed, if you're not into it, may seem kind of preachy in a way. Mutual Rescue seemed like it really tugged at your heartstrings and told you, like, from the point of view of the person who adopted the animal, how adopting an animal can change your life. And it's from, one of them was an obese man who, I don't know how much weight he lost, but an insane amount of weight he lost by getting a rescue dog, and the dog was obese as well, so both of them shed weight together and got healthier together. There's ones about PTSD with school shootings, and I mean all kinds of stuff that the animals helped with that are in PTSD. I mean, these stories were really incredible, and you got to see how it's a mutual rescue. I mean, you're both benefiting so much from adoption, both the person and the animal, and it was very heartwarming. It was a very good story, and definitely recommend if you're looking for something a little more moving, just something that's very sweet and loving and amazing. I really enjoyed this one. It was definitely more of an emotional one. I really enjoyed it. So, that was from August to September. Next, I have one that I read from October to November. So we're getting there. Another Good Dog, One Family and 50 Foster Dogs by Kara Sue Achterberg. And the description is, when Kara felt her teenage children slipping away and saw an empty nest on the horizon, she decided the best way to fill that void was with dogs, lots of them, and so her foster journey began. In 2015, her Pennsylvania farm became a haven for Operation Paws for Homes. There was the 9 puppies at once, which arrived less than a day's notice, a heartworm-positive dog, a deeply traumatized stray pup from Iraq, and countless others who just needed a gentle touch and a warm place to sleep. Operation Paws for Homes rescued dogs from high-kill shelters in the rural South and shuttles them north to foster homes like Kara's on the way to their forever homes. What started as a search for a good dog leads to an epiphany that there wasn't just one that could fill the hole left in her heart from her children gaining independence. She could save dozens along the way. The stories of these remarkable dogs, including an 80-pound bloodhound who sang arias for the neighbors, and the joy they bring to Kara and her family, along with a few chewed sofa cushions, fill the pages of this touching and inspiring new book that reveals the wonderful rewards of fostering. When asked how she could possibly say goodbye to that many lovable pups, Kara says, "If I don't give this one away, I couldn't possibly save another." Filled with humanity and hope, Another Good Dog will take the reader on a journey of smiles, laughs, and tears, and lead us to wonder how many other good dogs are out there and what we can do to help. I really liked this book. I really wanted to foster in the new year, and hopefully one day I'll be able to. I really, really want to foster some dogs. I need to get them out of the shelter. Especially my home gives invaluable information because I have a dog, a cat, and a bunny. So that's a dog, a cat, small animal. How are they with their prey drive? How are they with dogs? How are they with cats? How are they in a home? How are they in the backyard? What are they like? I mean, invaluable information that I can give them. And I have already taken pictures and videos of the dogs at the shelters. Imagine the cute pictures and videos I can take of them in an actual home. Incredible, right? So, I really liked this book because it was told from a mom's perspective with growing children, and she really started this journey because she wanted to adopt a dog. So she started like, okay, I'll foster this one, and maybe if it works out, I'll just keep it. But she ends up fostering 50 dogs in the meantime because she realizes, like, they're all good dogs, you know, they're all amazing, they're all lovable and worthy of a home, but if I adopt one, I can't keep fostering and helping all the others. If she stopped at number 1, what would have happened to the 49 others? I mean, think about that, you know? Fostering is hard. It's so hard to say goodbye to an animal like that, but you have to be selfless. And people saying, I could never do that, oh, it would be so hard, that is the most selfish thing to say. You need to remove yourself from this situation and look at it from another perspective. If you adopt one dog, you saved a life. You did. You saved a life. Absolutely. But you could save 50 lives. So just say, I mean, I adopted a dog, you know, but, and that's fantastic. If you can't foster, absolutely adopt a dog. But if you think that you can, definitely look into fostering. A lot of times the rescues, the shelters, they'll take care of everything. They will pay for anything that happens to that animal. They will pay for food. They will pay for a crate. They will pay for anything for that dog. All you need to have is a safe home for them to stay in. Like, it's mutually beneficial for you guys, you know, like, so, and again, I'm not talking down to anybody about not thinking that you could foster, but it really is a selfless thing to do, and you really need to remove yourself from the situation, because every dog is a good dog, you know? They're all good dogs. That's not the point, you know? But anyway, loved that one. That was a good one. The next one is called Secondhand Dogs by Carolyn Crimi. So this was a juvenile fiction book. So this was the first fiction book that I had read in months. And it was adorable. So it says, Miss Lottie's home was for second chances. When she adopted Gus, Rue, Tank, and Moonpie, Miss Lottie rescued each member of the pack, including herself, her helper Quinn, and her reclusive ghost, and turned them into reclusive cat ghost, and turned them into a family. But when a new dog, Decker, arrives and tries to hoard Miss Lottie's heart and home for himself, the pack's future is threatened. At first, Gus, the insecure pack leader, only notices little things like tiny Moonpie being kicked out of the bed and Ghost acting spooked. Then again, Ghost is a cat. But things soon go from bad to worse as Decker's presence causes disharmony in the group. When Decker convinces Moonpie to embark on an impossible journey, it's up to Gus to gather his courage, rally his splintered pack, and bring Moonpie home. And with coyotes and cars on the loose, the pack must push through obstacles and dangers to reunite with Moonpie before he can get hurt or nearly as bad, get his heart broken. This was a very, 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 very fantastic book. This was very well written. For a juvenile fiction book, it had so much information in it about rescue animals. I was absolutely impressed with this book beyond compare. There were just little things in it where she was giving you real facts about shelter dogs, where it was like, I wrote a review about it, that it said, there were small nods about real dog behavior, like the hierarchy of a pack and subtleties of movements dogs make. So like she was saying like how a dog was like moving a little bit was like because of their past, or the neurological things that some shelter dogs can have or rescue dogs can have was incredible. It talked about a dog whose previous owner died, so that was Moonpie. His previous owner died, and they went through that. A dog with a past of mean hands hurting him. Decker, the main villain, like the bad dog in the story, had a bad past. This one was a dog who was mistakenly accused of attacking a child and was sent to the shelter because of it. Crazy, like, and you got to see it from the dog's perspective of like, I didn't do anything, and I got, you know, it was a whole misunderstanding, and I think the child was like hitting into a coffee table or something, and so he was trying to get the kid away from the coffee table, and it made it look like he was attacking the child to the parents, so the parents got rid of the dog, and he was just trying to protect the child, and it's like, they spoke about all of these like really dark topics very well, and I was just very, very impressed with this story. Highly recommend for younger kids. I think once you hit 11, 12, you're a little too old for this story. I am 29, so I'm very too old for this story, but as someone who has experience in animal welfare, it was a very, very informational story while still being very cute. And I think it would keep a child's attention and they would really enjoy it. So, Very good book. The final book that I finished this year is Dog Tripping by David Rosenfeld. So it says dog tripping, 25 rescues, 11 volunteers, and 3 RVs on our canine cross-country adventure. When mystery writer David Rosenfeld and his family moved from California to Maine, he thought he had prepared for everything. They had mapped the route, brought 3 GPSs for backup, refrigerators full of food, and volunteers for help. But traveling in 3 RVs with 25 dogs turned out to be a bigger ordeal than he anticipated. Rosenfeld recounts the adventure with humor and warmth and tells how he and his wife became passionate foster parents for rescue dogs, culminating in the creation of the Terra Foundation. So he has a whole, mystery series about dogs. I didn't know about that when I read this book. I just saw it on the shelf at the library and said, that sounds cute. So he and his wife have 25 dogs. Those are all their dogs. And so they were moving from California to Maine. So they had all of these volunteers help. They had 3 RVs full of people and dogs to get them on their 3-day trip or something, 3 or 4 days. It was a very long trip to get there. So it goes back and forth in time. From the time then they met the dog, they have a whole chapter about one specific dog, and then they go back in the next chapter to talk about where they are in the trip. So I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed hearing them talk about where they found these dogs, how they came to be their dogs. They started a foundation where they could basically foster, adopt out the dogs from the shelter to adopt to new homes. It was a really good book. He has a very dry sense of humor, so sometimes it comes around kind of sarcastic or ungrateful, so keep that in mind that he has a very specific kind of humor, but it was still a very good book. I really enjoyed it. I really liked hearing about the specific dogs and everything. It was funny because his wife would go to the shelters and come home with 4 dogs, and it's oh, I wish I could do that. And they have a specific place in their heart for golden retrievers. So if you really like golden retrievers, this talks a lot about them and focuses mainly on golden retrievers, which is interesting. So, yeah, I really liked this one. It was a funny, cute, lighthearted story. Nothing crazy happens in it. But you did get to hear about, dogs that they were never gonna make it out of the shelter if they didn't adopt them. They weren't going to. At one point, there was a dog that they were taking to get euthanized, and David's wife was like, that's my dog, give me my dog. So some of it can be a little because it does talk about euthanasia rates, which is crazy. The amount of dogs that get killed in shelters for no reason is crazy. So adopt a dog. Anyway, or animals, any animal, just adopt. So anyway, those were the books that I read this year. I really enjoyed all of them. They were very nice. I really liked them. I'm currently reading a book called Cats People by Tanya Guerrero. I am 45% of the way done. I use Goodreads for this. And then I'm also reading The 2000s Made Me Gay, Essays on Pop Culture by Grace Perry. But I am 4% done with that, and I'll probably have to start that one over, honestly, because I'm focusing more on Cats People. But I really like that book so far. It's very cute. It's about a stray cat and basically how she brings all these people together. How he brings all the people together. Very cute. Next year, my goal again is 12. I think I can make it, especially because I am halfway through Cats People. Hopefully, I'll be able to get that done. I really only read at work during my lunch break and my 15-minute breaks. So, that's why it takes me so long to read these books, because I'm really only reading them at work. So, hopefully I can start reading outside of work too. I really want to get back into like reading frequently, especially because in the new year I'm really not going to be able to work as much as I used to. Like in December I was able to work like 32 hours a week consistently, and November, because we had one of our librarians was out on sick leave, so we had the hours. But moving forward, we really won't have the hours to just give me extra hours. Like, we don't have the budget for that. Like, I'm part-time. I'm supposed to only do 20 hours a week. So, I'm going to have a lot more time not at work. Like, I'm only working 3 days a week, every week in the new year so far, which really sucks. So, that's not going to give me much time to read at work, you know? So I may have to start figuring something out where, like, every Friday I go to the library and I read, or something like that, or whatever. I go somewhere and read. And I have to figure something out. And I feel like if I do something like that where I have a schedule, maybe I would actually stick to it, because, like, it looks like in January I don't work any Tuesdays. I don't know about February. Do I work Tuesdays? No, doesn't look like I work. It looks like I work one Tuesday in February, so maybe Tuesdays will now be, like, my reading days. I don't know. Something like that. I'm hoping to do something like that in the new year, where I make a plan to read more. Let me know what your reading goal was for the year. Did you hit it? Did you surpass it? Or are you like me and you fell a couple short? That's okay. That's okay. Brush yourself off. It's a new year. You got this. And good luck to everybody in the new year with their reading goals. And yeah, definitely leave your recommendations in the comments below, whether it's nonfiction about rescue animals or fiction stories you think I'd like. Just let's have a conversation below, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.